Join us on the Swim Monkey.
Swim Monkey TV. On the Monkey.
Hey everybody, it's Kara Cassidy here with Seahorse Tales. Got a special show today. Guest number one on the side of me, well, not on your side, over there. Thank you. Sid Cassidy, my husband. He's also aquatics director at St. Andrew's School here in Boca Raton and head coach of the school team, as well as the person who runs our club team, St. Andrew's Aquatics. So thanks for being here, Sid.
My pleasure, honey. It's good to be on your show, especially tonight.
Yeah, and special guest. Thank you so much. We have Cullen Jones, who is two-time Olympian, four-time Olympic medalist, and he has taken some time to join us tonight and talk about his journey through swimming, which is really an interesting journey, and I can't wait for him to share. First, I just wanted to let you know what Seahorse Tales is about. So we're broadcasting with Florida Swim Network, and it's allowing me to share tips on water safety and swim lessons, plus share parenting information. And I hope that people find this useful, and we will continue to do it. And comments live right here, feel free. And even if you watch later, you can comment and we will remark and answer. So today's topic is overcoming the fear of drowning, perseverance in attaining goals, and then we are going to talk about how to find the right swim school for your families. So hi, Cullen.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show. Very excited.
Yeah, we're excited.
It's a family
too.
reunion. Back to the family.
I feel that too. Yeah, the first time I met you was a lot different when Sid met you. I met you when you were coming to St. Andrew's School as NC State swimmer, and you were doing your winter training there. So, and I believe our son was maybe 10 and you were teaching him starts and so open for that. So yeah, that's a good memory.
Absolutely. I mean, it's those were, Sid, you can speak to some of those days. So those were,
Cullen, I remember those days.
Yeah.
When I first met Cullen, Kara, he was still a young teenager in high school, and actually he was swimming for a friend of mine, Coach Lou Petrozello.
Yes.
And Coach Lou had a hell of a year-round program, and he was a grinder. You know, we were all coming out of the 70s, Cullen, when everybody just thought more was better.
Oh,
and you were a part of that, but you also did really well. And I was lucky enough. Lou called me up because he knew I was an NC State guy, and and there were a number of schools. And the truth be told, Cullen, NC State back in that day, when you went there, wasn't what it is now. I mean, the biggest schools were kind of looking over, and I'm like, look, this guy's going to be great. He's going to be good. And Brooks Teal at NC State said, you know what? We took one look at him, said, yeah, I think that's good. So I've known him since he was a little bit younger, and he's grown into a hell of a man. So we're proud to have you representing this great cause of swim safety. So go ahead, Kara. Where are we?
Yeah, Cullen, tell us about how you got started with swim lessons. I know, obviously everything starts with swim lessons and then competitive swimming, but yours actually started before swim lessons.
Absolutely. And this is why I was so happy when you asked me to come on. For those that don't know, many do know, I almost drowned at the age of 5, not knowing how to swim, not having swim lessons, and grew up in Jersey, New York area. There weren't tons of pools, but if you look for them, you could find them. But my mom knew I loved being in the water. She knew that she would throw me in the tub, and I would sit there playing with my action figures for hours. So she knew she had a water baby. And she said, let's go to this amusement park. I ended up going with my parents, fully supervised, which is very important to this story. I wasn't horse playing. I wasn't in a place where I wasn't supposed to be. I went down a ride, and it just talks about how important it is to learn how to swim. I go down the ride. I flip upside down. My dad told me to hold on to the inner tube. I'm holding on to the inner tube, and I just didn't know what to do to get myself up enough to get air. I ended up passing out. The lifeguard had to come and resuscitate me. And as you both know, I'm kind of a jokester. My first thing out of my mouth was, "What's the next ride we're getting on?" Because it didn't matter. Even at 5, I was at an amusement park in the water and I loved it. But my mom said, "Yeah, never again. We're getting swim lessons."
So that experience didn't scare you away from the pool?
Oh, Kara, no, I was terrified. I still wanted to be at an amusement park.
Oh,
but then when my parents were like, "Hey, let's go to swim lessons," I was like, no, I don't want to do this. So it took me about 5 different teachers. So I think that's the amazing part, especially with the work I've done after the gold medal in 2008 with Make a Splash initiative. I saw the drowning rates and I saw that there was a change that I could help to make a change with my story and my background. But what we found out is that most parents, what they do is when their children have this negative experience around water, their first instinct is to shield their child or to say, "No, don't do that again. Don't go near that again," especially when it comes to minority groups. And my mom went against the grain and she said, I'm not going to have you grow up with the same fear that I had. So I'm going to equip you with the right knowledge so that you can be, safer around the water. So she got me swim lessons. And it took a while. 5 teachers, 5 different teachers, but she was persistent.
You just need that one to make it work, right?
Exactly.
I have those conversations you're just talking about today, even with parents. Yeah. They'll bring their child in and the child looks very nervous, and which it's okay. It's their first lesson. It's okay to be nervous. Right. But then as the child's leaving, still upset, you hear from the parent telling you, "Well, actually, I don't know how to swim and I'm really afraid for him." And so it's like, well, that's where his fear is coming from because he doesn't have experience with swim lessons. Yeah, you're just starting. Now he's feeding off of your fear. So really, Cullen, isn't it about just educating the whole family, not just about that child who needs swim lessons?
100%. It's generational. When we looked at some of the stats that we've been able to find, when a parent knows how to swim, there's an 88% chance that they will teach that child. So when you just look at that disproportionate number, it's unbelievable because I was almost one of those kids. Thankfully, my dad kind of knew how to swim, and my mom just knew enough to be like, "You know what? You're not going to grow up the way that I grew up." But we see so many kids that parents are like, "Oh, I don't know." So the same thing we were saying. When parents think of water as dangerous, they tell their children it's dangerous so that they grow up thinking it's dangerous rather than, it's not dangerous. It's the most fun thing we can do. Every place that I go, Kara and Sid, any place, the first thing we ask kids, and I've seen Sid do the same, "How many of you guys like being in the water?" Yeah. Hands shoot up with everyone's hands. Every kid wants to be in the water. But the problem is that parents aren't equipping their children with safety. Swim lessons, knowing how to be safer around the water. You wouldn't let your child go into a car without a safety belt or play football without, pads, but you're letting them go to a swim pool where, lifeguard. Yep. Watching 500 kids is really hard to try to keep everyone safe, especially when they haven't had swim lessons.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just love this conversation because the more we talk about it, the more somebody is going to listen who isn't in the swimming community like most of our audience. And they might be like, "Oh, geez, my kids don't know how to swim." So now what I'm finding out, Cullen, which you already know, is the parents who don't know how to swim, they're too embarrassed to take lessons themselves.
Yeah,
so we're starting a lot of adults coming in and they're getting in and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is really great. I can't believe I don't know how to do this before."
Correct. And I mean, that's one of the, it's not a flaw, but it's one thing that we know when the work that I've done, 12 years, been working with the Make a Splash initiative and so proud of what we've been able to do because we're breaking that generational gap. But there's 2 things we have with parents. It's like, there's 2 schools of thought. I'm too old to learn now, or I know what to do if I was in the situation. I can get to the wall. No, come on now.
Yeah.
Let's X this out. Let's understand that fight or flight is not going to get you to the wall. It's swim lessons. It's understanding how to respect and maneuver around the water. So go learn. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, let's do it. So regardless of how long it took you to swim, how did you gravitate to actually want to do competitive swimming? Was it just a natural
He couldn't play
No.
basketball. He
No.
tried. He was not a basketball player, this guy.
No, I was a basketball player, actually, Sid. It just was like I started gaining muscle, and then my shot was off by the time I met you. So I played basketball until I was about 15, and I had to make the decision because basketball and swimming were winter sports. And I was, at that time, racing this one kid, Gary Grant, and he kept kicking my butt, and I had to make the decision. And, you know, in basketball, I was actually really good at 15, but in swimming, I liked how hard it was. I liked that this kid was beating me, and I was like, I cannot give up on I got to beat this kid. And that's honestly what kept me in the pool, was trying to beat Gary Grant. So I went to my mom and was like, nope, I'm going to swim. I want to swim. So that's what did it. And then getting into swimming was actually just going to see a friend. One of my friends, I was running track at the time, and she's like, well, just come to one of my swim meets. And I saw a swim meet. And man, I was sitting there like, oh, I could beat him. I was sitting in the stands, and my mom's like, who does this kid think he is? He almost drowned 3 years ago, and he's up here like, you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. And she's like, all right, well, if we're putting money towards it, you're not going to stop in a week. You're going to keep going. So I saw my first meet. I got into practice. I was terrible, actually. The coach was like, I don't know if swimming's for him. But I just kept coming back every day, and I loved it.
Well, you know, what's so beautiful, Cullen, is that you enunciate those kind of feelings, that kind of passion. It's one of the reasons why you are such a great ambassador, why you're still so involved with the sport, and why so many have been blessed to watch, because so many kids have that competitive drive, and swimming's such a good sport for it. And like you and I were, Karen, we were talking, just who knows what's going to happen as post-COVID becomes our new reality. But we know it's a healthy sport. We know it can be done safely. And it gives kids that opportunity to really hone their competitive desire. I mean, what were the chances of you at age 15, when you're, okay, I'm going to give up basketball, would make it not only to the heights you have, but could even aspire to that? That's on you and your conscious decision to never quit and to be relentless about your preparation, your belief in yourself, surrounding yourself with great people. And just, I mean, I saw a lot of people through the years, Cullen. I was always in your corner because we're Wolfpack, right?
I know.
Here I am. Okay, we're And I heard a lot of naysayers, man. I was at Omaha more than one race where people were not putting their money on you. You know, those of us, if we did gamble, did very well on more than one race in Omaha. You know,
well,
what was it like?
Expect me in lane one.
That was the best one, man. Tell us, run us through that situation. Kara doesn't know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, so it was funny because in 2008, well, let me go back, because you said something that was very, it was interesting, because yes, you've known me since I was so much younger than most people know, and I'll be honest, I think the reason why I was successful was because I wasn't looking at the national stage. My first nationals I was 20. So my focus was always on beating the person next to me. And I never took it bigger than that. I mean, there were, Lou was always, my coach was always like, oh, you're great. You never know what you can do. But he never it was always that next meet. It wasn't like, let's look this far down. And I think that that's what happens to so many swimmers. They try to look at the pie rather than just take a slice of it and just win this race. And then let's see what happens when you win this race. And that's the way we did it. And so I think even in college, it was the same way. It was, all right, let's win ACCs. I wasn't thinking about NCAAs. I was thinking about ACCs. Let me crush ACCs. And then, okay, let me make it to NCAAs. And I just took it piece by piece. So the meet that Sid's talking about was actually 2012. 100 freestyle, which you both know I don't like the 100. It's too far for me.
So now, Karen, set it up, because 4 years earlier you were on the relay that's still on Sports Illustrated and ESPN and NBC plays it back when they have crummy ratings. They say, hey, bring out that relay.
we need to bring people back. Let's make people really excited. Let's play that 4x100.
So now Cullen's one of the favorites and coming back as a world record holder from 2008. I think everybody knows that crazy relay. We were nuts in Beijing. We were so proud to be there with you. But go ahead, tell us now. So it's Kara. 4 years later, there's a little more pressure on because you're trying to make the Olympics for the second time, right?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, and it's a funny story because it's the story that I give when I talk about goal setting. The year prior, in 2011, I went and I swam against my teammate Josh Snyder for the 50 free. Went head to head, and I was able to go to World Championships in Shanghai, and I pooped the bed. I'll just say it that way. That's a nice way of putting it. I did not swim well. And I remember Bob Bowman coming up to me and he's like, this sucks. And I was like, what? And he's like, one of the best 100 freestylers in the world isn't focused. And I was like, oh. And then my coach David Marsh comes up and says the same thing. And I'm like, oh. And I go home and my mom calls me and is like, Cullen, that was the worst 50 free I've ever seen. And my mom doesn't even know my times. She's like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. You are not going to disrespect the Jones name and go out there and not give it your best. And I'm like, dang, mom, my mom too. And then I watched Cesar Cielo on a message or some interview, and he's like, it'll take a national disaster for me not to win the 50 free. And I think you guys both know me very well to know, don't talk smack. So if I saw that and I was like, for you. Okay, that's what I needed. And I went back and I trained my face off. So Sid's right. There was a lot of pressure, but so many people were focused on Nathan. So many people were focused on Anthony Irvin, Tony. And so they were focused on them. And here I am in lane 2 lane 1 in the finals of the 100 freestyle. And no one's really paying attention to me. And I remember going up to David and David's like, you look good. How do you feel? And I was like, watch, my feet are going to be on that wall. And he goes, what? And I was like, just watch. And I got behind the block and I remember taking it out and flipping. And I noticed when I turned to the side, the only other person that was flipping at the time I was flipping was Nathan. So I knew I was out in the time that I needed to be in lane 1. So that's why I always tell kids, it doesn't matter. If you have a lane, you got a shot. My feet hit the wall. And I turn and I can see Nathan. Don't look in other lanes, kids. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. I see him, but I'm like, okay, now this is what I do. 50 freestyle, drag race, get your hand on the wall. And I just remember tightening up. I was getting close and close. I just I closed my eyes. Because I was like, I was in so much pain, but I knew I wanted to make that Olympic team so bad after what Caesar said, Bob said, David said, and I touched the wall. And there's a picture of me. I get out from lane 1, and the first 2 people is Peter Viroff that I swam with and is my coach, and David. And I gave him the hugest hug. He goes, where did that come from? I was like, right here. Came from right here. I was like, I'm not letting it happen. I'm making this team. Lane 1.
I was right there, man. I was right there, and it was one of the most incredible, just powerful. It wasn't like you just made the relay. Yeah. You finished second, right?
Yeah. Nathan touched me up, but I finished second.
But that means you made the Olympic team in the 100 free, which blew everybody's brackets who was picking the 2 guys that were going to make, because there was a little bit of money changing hands. I just got to say. Yeah. Very few people had you on their list, Cullen, is all I want to say.
Listen, you had Nathan, Adrian, you had Anthony Irvin, you had Matt Grievers, Josh Schneider, me. I mean, it was a stacked lineup.
Oh yeah. So, a lot of people had you on the relay, but not many had you top 2.
No. People were
that was an unbelievable swim. That was a mental. So
100%. It was all mental because for most people that have watched me, they know that I don't go all out on the first 50. I usually kind of back half it and try to come back at the end. And for me to go out first and have my foot on the wall, everyone was just like, whoa. So it was a pretty, and then for the 50 the next day and being able 2 days later to be able to make it in the 50 and not only make it, but to get first. There were a lot of, like you said, there were a lot of naysayers because all year, And I've heard Mel say it. I've heard a lot of people, you can't count Cullen out because he finds out how to be ready when he needs to be ready. And it's all year. Like, I'm training. It's just that, you know, when I'm getting pounded on in training, I'm not always winning the meets that are going throughout the year. And a lot of that is just due to the way that David's kind of training went for me. It was like I wasn't coming down for races, and I was always in the well. And then when I finally get that rest, that's when David always said, when the lights are on, you swim your fastest.
Some great days.
Yeah.
And you followed those great days of your athletic career as a participant by staying in full view and being such an inspirational model for all of our sport, for coaches like me, for athletes, for administrators. Right, Kara, you've been able, through a Learn to Swim, we've seen you so many times, Cullen, giving of yourself. You know, I remember the clinic you came to back in, we said it was 2005 when you were a lean stud. You were, I think it was just before January 2006. Joe, you got that picture of Cullen?
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
You were, there you are. Look at you, man.
Look at
finishing college.
Those days. Look at that. Look at that guy.
Yeah, you had a nice clean start. You did a start clinic for the kids. You were always giving that way. There you go. Yeah. We had our blocks on the other side, but very few people remember that we had them over there.
Look at that. My toes are even pointed.
Look, it's beautiful.
Coaches would be proud. I always got yelled at because my toes weren't pointed and they would like tap a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that was a very fun clinic to give, just because it was able to, like, it was towards the end of my college career, and I kind of felt I had just come back from Izmir and representing Team USA for the first time, getting the 50, winning the 50 free. And I remember Dick Jokums, the coach, came up to me and he's like, "Hey kid, you really got something. You can make the Olympic team." And he was honestly the first person that I had really heard, like, flat out say it to me, like, "You can make the Olympic team." And he was like, and I said, why do you think that? And he goes, "Well, you just want Gary Hall Jr.'s time." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's kind of cool," because I had him as a poster in my room. So again, like I said, Sid, like I had blinders on to, like, what everything was going. It was just everyone else. It was just always focused on that next race. And I think that was the most important thing for me, and my success was just giving it everything, every race, and just being accountable every time. If I didn't, I was my worst critic. I was always beating on myself more than anyone else ever could have, because I wanted to hold myself to the highest level.
Well, I think it was after London, you did a presentation for the U.S. Swim School Association. Mm-hmm. Remember, our conference was in North Carolina, so I asked you to present, which was great. And at that presentation, you know, it just goes back to where you said, you know, "Don't doubt me." You know, you had that great Olympic story you told, meeting, I think, the dream team, and how surprised they were.
Yeah, so like that's a great story, because everything in 2008, everything was backwards because of NBC, and their focus was making sure everyone at home could watch, you know, prime time, 8:00. So we had finals at night and prelims in the morning. And so again, these names will go very deep. We had, you know, Garrett Weber-Gale, Michael Jackson. No, Michael Phelps, Jason Lezak, Nathan Adrian, Ben Wildman-Tobriner, Matt Grievers, myself. And so here I am. I got third in the 100. And the only way I'm going to make the night relay, which the French team was saying they're there to crush the Americans, is by beating everyone else in the prelims, which again, for that group was Matt Grievers, Nathan Adrian, and Ben Wildman-Tobriner. So nothing to sneeze at. All of these guys are extremely talented, very fast. And at the time, I just had to be first. I remember racing it, and I remember going up to Eddie Reese afterwards, and I was like, "All right, coach, what did I go?" And I'm like blacking out, so tired. I was the fastest 100 I've ever swam. And he goes, "Cullen, 47:66. Matt Grievers, 47:67. So I made that night relay, or that morning relay, which, because everything was flipped, by 1/100th of a second. And I was just like, "Oh my God, I made the relay. Oh snap, I made the relay." And all the pressure hit me. because, Michael might not get his 8 gold medals. And I'm on that relay. So you don't want to be that guy who messes that up. So the pressure hits me and I go back to my room and I have to get ready for the next morning. Zoning, and it's like 11 o'clock. I'm trying to go to sleep. 12 o'clock, trying to go to sleep. And 1 o'clock, bang, 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 bang on the door. And I open the door and it's Phelps. I'm like, Mike, man, what's MP? What's going on? And he's like, Cullen, wake up, wake up. I'm like, what? He goes, all the NBA guys are downstairs. They want to wish us good luck. Oh, shoot. Okay. I kick Ryan, who is Lochte, who's my brother. He's my roommate for life. I kick him. I'm like, oh my God, the NBA guys are downstairs. He flips out. We start running downstairs. Kobe, LeBron, D Wade. And that's why I have that amazing picture with Kobe. He was such a great inspiration to me. We've had so many great conversations about just being your own businessman, and just like Mamba mentality was real. Like the way that he carried himself was just completely in another level. And you see it in LeBron for sure. But yeah, being able to see those guys and for them to just kind of be excited to watch us race, because they heard about the 4x100 and all the smack that the French team was talking. Yeah. And they were excited to see us. And we were just like, no, but do you know who you are? So it was cool. And then the next day they showed up and they were there to watch the race, which was just even more amazing. It was, I would say, the pinnacle of my career, to see people of that stature, people that I looked up to so much, looking up at me and seeing me as the same level, just as Team USA athletes. And yeah, it was a really surreal, cool experience.
That's great. Well, congratulations on all of it. I love it. It's just amazing stuff you've gone through and done, and everything. So I want to go back just a little bit. How did you get from your high school going to college? Because I know we skipped college a little bit. Like, how did you pick? And would you recommend kids, do you have advice for kids who are thinking of going to college, who swim high school now? Like, what kind of advice do you say? Yeah, you're good enough, just find the right place.
Yeah, it's such a tricky space to try to navigate. And I think I was blessed enough to have, Brooke Steele and Chad Onken and Kevin Devine, who I raced with in Jersey, and Sid for talking to Lou. And I think as a kid who grew up in the ghetto of Irvington, New Jersey, Newark, I had no idea. I thought I was getting to school with grades. Like, swimming was something I loved to do. Yeah, I was fast at it, and I just loved it. But then when the letters started coming, my mom's like, "Oh wait, you can go to school and okay." So we were just very green about everything. We just didn't know what was out there. When it came to swimming, we think basketball, we think football, like, oh, of course that's the case. But like in swimming, I know my family, we just didn't know. And I think that's the case for a lot of families. So I think with the transition to all of this information you can get from the internet, it's different than the 90s when I was doing this. Yeah. So I would tell all parents to go out and just really research the different teams. I think the number one thing for me was my recruiting trips. That was my way of really kind of, no pun intended, dipping my toe in the waters of understanding like what these teams were about. And I lost my dad at 16 from lung cancer. So I was really looking for a family atmosphere. And I remember taking an unofficial visit to UNC. That was my dream school. I'm sorry, Sid. I have to say it. I'm sorry. I know I'm mad at myself, but I am such a big Michael Jordan fan. So that kind of pulled me in that direction. But I saw the team. I had certain conversations that it made me know that that's not the place for me. And so I went to Florida State, did an unofficial there. Same thing, didn't feel it. UConn. I went to NC State. At my second trip, because I got sick on my first one, and Chad didn't think I really wanted. He thought I blew him off, and was like, I don't want to go to NC State. But I went, and it was insane. I just knew that was the place for me. And as it said, like the team, like the year before, 2 years before, Braden Holloway went to NCAA's, and like after that, he looked at me. I remember on my recruiting trip, he goes, "So you're the new kid, you're the new stud coming in," and I was like, "I guess." And he goes, "So you got to go to NCAA's," and I was like, "Okay." What? There's, I will tell you, and I will be honest, and I will throw myself under the bus. I said, "There's NCAA's for swimming." I had no idea. And he was like, "Yeah, come here, kid." And so it was very, I felt that family atmosphere. So when it comes to parents, I would say research. When colleges offer
Definitely.
recruiting trips, you have to go. I think it's so important. Yes, they're rolling out the red carpet, but at the same time, you get a really good feel of the atmosphere of what the team is willing to offer and what they are offering the school, what they offer, because let me change things. Club swimming and college swimming is very, very different. When you go to college, it is a job. It becomes a job. It is your life. You need to take it that way, especially if you want to be successful. And that's the way I looked at it. I said, okay, the school is helping to pay for me to go, because I wasn't going for a full ride even when I went to NC State in my first year. But I knew that it was a job. I was there to contribute. I didn't want to let my teammates down. So it was just, there was a big transition. And so, and I don't say that to scare you. It was the best 4 years of my life. The people that I met there changed my life. Clearly. So it is, I just think the researching and taking the trips and understanding that it's not just for fun anymore. It's a job, but it's the most fulfilling thing when you're able to go there and contribute with your team and be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, and it's preparing you for life after college.
Let me tell you, that's the biggest, and it's so funny you say that, because here I am, 4 medals, and I have no work experience. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And I'm like, I need to figure this out. And so I started looking at jobs, and let me tell you about the job market. And I didn't realize it. I've heard people say it. Swimmers are some of the hardest workers on the planet. And people that are employing understand that. And so when I was overwhelmed with the amount of people that wanted me to come in and work for them, but even more so, how many things that I had learned in swimming that not only translated into the workforce, but elevated me into the workforce. And those are things that our swimmers are learning in high school. And I just think that that's the beauty of our sport. Our swimmers are learning so much at such a fast rate about accountability, time management, getting up early. So these things are so important, and not to be overlooked. But yeah, I love what the sport offers. And so, yeah, the next step of my life was a little bit easier because I swam.
Yeah. And then the next part of your life is family life, like your own family now.
Yes. I have a 1-year-old now, which is unbelievable after looking at that picture. I have so much to tell that young Cullen. But yes, I have a 1-year-old now. He's amazing. I love Avon to death, and it's amazing to see him, and you guys will love this. He cried at night because he just wanted to be awake. And the only thing that would put him to sleep was the sound of running water.
Nice.
He does not like to eat unless he has his hand in water.
Wow.
This kid loves water.
That's
At
incredible.
3 months, he got water in his face and he went, ha, and loved it.
That's cool.
Amazing. So I can remember 1-year-old being really a special year in the development, the mental, and I've read about this. They're all up through the 8 years. But tell me, I remember thinking that 1 to 2 year was so incredibly just every day. They're such a sponge. They're learning something new. They're showing you something. What's one really cool thing you feel like you're teaching them? Like, I remember when Quinn, I was like, okay, I got to teach Quinn that. What's something you just love or something he surprised you with?
Well, I'll say something that I taught him, and then I'll tell you something that surprised me. What surprised me is when he got hit in the face with water. You see so many kids and they go, ah! And I was trying to teach him to wipe his face after water got in his face, like, oh, wipe your face, wipe your face. And I would move his hands and do it. And then every time I would try to do it, he would pull his hands back, smile at me, and just shake his face. He had no problems with water in his face. And so I think that was what shocked me. One of the things that I've been teaching him now, obviously on top of just speaking, is walking. And now he walks. And when I tell you walks, he borderline runs. He can get across a room faster than my wife and I can actually get behind him. He is quick. So everyone, they were like, take these days when he's not moving. Take these days when he's crawling. Oh my God, when he starts walking.
Everything has to be moved up.
Everything's moved up. I'm putting, gates up, and my drill and I, we're like this.
Well, the next question I'm going to ask. Yeah. Tell me about swim lessons.
Oh, and I think that's the best part about him, is that although I don't even know if I can do it, you guys, I don't know if I can be the one to teach him. Okay. I don't know that I want to be the one to teach him.
Yeah.
I want to sit back and watch him just enjoy water. Instead of being like, your stroke technique's not right. I'm kidding. I want him to just enjoy it. And so I am a firm believer of having children be acclimated to water. So even through COVID, has never not been in water. So when we start to do swim lessons, I say 6 months, mommy and me classes. I sang Wheels on the Bus. Okay. You don't want to hear it. It's not a pretty thing, but I did it. So I say it's 6 months, get them in, and just, even if it's not hardcore, learn to kick, learn to do these things, just being in the water, blowing on the face, knowing how to blow bubbles. Like, he watches me blow bubbles and he's like, I want to do that. And then he tries to drink it. And I'm like, okay, you're not ready yet. But it's just about acclimating them, being comfortable around the water. So that is my biggest thing. I want Avon to consistently have positive, and then sometimes he won't have necessarily a positive reaction. When he swallowed water, not positive reaction, but we sandwiched it with him jumping to me in the water. He does that. It's crazy. And then he's happy. So I am all for some lessons, as you guys both know.
So is he taking them right now? Is he enrolled? Like,
he is getting. My wife said it's time, and I was like, okay. Yeah.
Good. All right. Send us pictures. We want to see pictures.
I want to hear all about it.
I'm very excited to say that he is. She was like, he needs to burn off some of this energy. I was like, he's one. Okay, fine. Yeah. So we're getting him into swim lessons. Yes, we are doing it. So it's not enough anymore just to keep him, in the water, loving it. He's gun ho, and I want to. Well,
when was his birthday? He just had a first birthday, right?
He did, July 7th.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, July 11th. Sorry, I was going to.
Yeah, your wife's going.
7-11.
We won't tell.
I'm live, honey. They can't edit this. I'm sorry.
7-11.
Hi, Ruthie. How's she doing?
She's great. And she's taken to motherhood like a sponge. We sit back and we research. We look at all these different things that people say and we go our own way. We figure it out day by day. But it's amazing because as I'm working most of the days and I come home, she is definitely the pillar of the house right now. I couldn't do this without her.
Best years of your life raising those little ones, Cullen.
I will look back on this. I'm the sleep part, man. I as a swimmer, I miss my sleep.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it.
That's cool. I'm going to go through some of these comments, and Cullen, because I think they'll pertain. Well, obviously they're going to pertain to you, but one in particular I saw here. It says, do you think public schools in Florida will make swimming lessons mandatory? So I just wanted to share with you, Cullen, what I've been doing. I've met with people at the Palm Beach County School District over the last 1.5 to 2 years about this exactly, and realizing the logistics part are so difficult of you can't take the kids out of the school to a pool. Obviously through Make a Splash, it's fabulous. You do, your weekend lesson, but you need more than that to actually learn, and especially when they're younger. So we've been trying to come up with a way to reach all those people, because even if you do that weekend at the community pool, there's still so many who don't get the message or can't get there, or transportation, all that. So when I sent you that book, my book, that actually evolved from an online course I created that was originally for educators to teach water safety in the classroom. There it is.
I was going to say, we read that. We read that to him. I didn't want to interrupt you, but we read him your book.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. My daughter Kate and the manager and Margot helped put that together. Awesome. But I wanted to just share that with you because that's something we're trying. And now that school is remote, I'm like, hey, this curriculum, you can teach it even at home. Like your families can have this course and teach their whole family. Like the mom can take it, the caregiver can take the course. It's just information and knowledge that they're going to be able to share. So I just wanted you to know that that's like the next step I'm trying to make, because realizing that not everybody's going to get to that pool when Cullen is there.
Yeah. Yes. You hit it right on the head. I mean, that's where with Make a Splash, we've been traveling across the country, and it's interesting because there are certain school districts that you might have a superintendent that's like a swimmer, and then it's like, we're going to allocate funds to this, but we can't expect necessarily everyone to do that. And then the number one thing is transportation and time. Yeah. You know, you're taking them maybe 30 minutes just to get to the pool. They do their lessons. They got to change 30 minutes back. That's half the day. So it is a big issue. And that's why, like you said, especially with everyone being remote, the parents have to understand the importance. And it's going to be on you, parents. I'm sorry to say it. The schools, it's very hard to do. They're cutting back on gym. Do you know how much fun I had in gym? I had a tag. Oh, come on.
It was my best class.
Yes.
Well, lunch and gym.
Lunch. Yeah. And going home. I was really good at going home.
Yeah.
No, but like, I can't believe that. And it's hard. So it's going to be the parents. It's going to be us deciding this is important. Got to get our kids safer around the water, understanding it, because it gives you peace of mind. But especially with kids being remote, it's I feel very blessed. I'm sorry, everyone in the comments section who has kids that are in school right now. It is, most of my friends have kids now, and it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. They just want to go to summer camp, or they want to just be out of the house. And I know certain people have been doing privates. I think that's kind of something that people have been doing, but it's just about going to swim schools, going to your swim school, and learning to swim. It's about taking the power from the parents, having the power of making it happen.
Cullen, Mike, I know Mike, and he's got a question. He said, Make a Splash partner, 7 years up in Niagara swimming. He wants to know what are the best ways to get more clubs signed up?
You know, I'll be honest with you. Getting more clubs signed up is something that USA Swimming has been focused on. Right now, anything that's been 12 years needs to be revamped. And with COVID, it's going to look very different this year. Everything has to be, remote and on via some sort of Zoom or, crowdcast, whatever. So it's going to look a little different this year, but signing up is going to usaswimmingfoundation.org, and then they will have someone come out. We still want to make sure that we are sticking to code, the pool's up to the standards, the teaching's up to the standard. But that's how in the past, that's how it's been set up. And I don't think we're going to change much from that, but how we do Make a Splash is going to look very different in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and just the FYI, Florida Swim School is a proud member too. So,
have
been many
years.
Yeah. Let's see if I have any other things. Kate thought the book looked familiar. Hi, Tim.
Great.
Nice. Yeah. Tim O'Brien. Tim O'Brien actually is besides being an Olympic diver, he's going to be one of our guests tomorrow night.
Cullen. Awesome.
Stories with Sid, if you haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, we'll have you back sometime in the future. We'll bring you and Ryan on to tell us.
I was going to say I got to talk to him. I know he's traveling right now, so
it can be any Monday, any time in the next 8 or 10, 12 weeks.
That'll be a fun one.
Tracy Freeland says hi, guys.
Hey,
all right.
PR. And Sarah. So Sarah's on here again. Thanks for watching, Sarah. Her son is a student at our swim school, and he just
very cool.
has been progressing leaps and bounds. It's so much fun to watch them progress.
Absolutely.
Enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And, we use our swim lesson program to feed our club team because, when the kids, like Cullen, when you were doing swim lessons, like, okay, well, now you're so good. What's next? Because there's not that much to learn after that. But now, there's club swimming, there's an opportunity to join. And we're actually started introducing water polo into our lessons because, not everybody's going to like the swimming aspect of it. Some kids just want to be with a ball, and so we're just.
I play polo too. I was a driver. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I loved it. And my dad said, you're going to give up swimming or you're going to give up basketball for swimming. And now you want to play polo? You're going to swim. If you gave up basketball for swimming, you're going to swim. So
I love it.
Kept me straight on that one. But no, I loved polo. That is my secret love. I love that sport. And that's amazing. And to speak to what we were talking about going from age group into college, that's another huge transition that we're trying to really figure out is the grassroots of learning to swim into, competitive swimming. And so it's so important and amazing that, you guys are both working both sides of that coin. And it's amazing. That's why you're successful because you understand the importance of that transition. And you're helping families by doing that, honestly, because there's a lot of families that just don't understand what you do in swimming. And hey, I was that family. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah, Cullen, we're super thankful for you, certainly for your time tonight, but more so for your years and years of continued service to the great sport. You don't have to
say years and years. Come on, Sid.
Yeah. You're getting to be an old man, Cullen.
It's Avon's turn. I'm kidding.
No.
I appreciate your time completely. And I treasure our friendship and look forward to seeing you around. And if it's remotely or in person, who knows where it will be next.
Absolutely. We will get together soon.
It will happen. And so is there any last message you'd like to leave us with before you say goodnight?
I think that, thank you, Michael. I think it's important that we understand, as I look at our comment section and how many amazing swim folks that we have here, do not underestimate when you're out. We are the beacons of saving other people's lives by teaching them the importance of learning to swim. Even if it's, we can talk amongst ourselves and talk to our friends, but we really need to talk to our coworkers, people that we meet at, whatever institution of religion you may stand behind, any person that you can speak to, because you just never know whose life you can change and let's be real, save by teaching them how to swim. So we are all beacons. Get the word out there. That's been our lives, folks. So let's just keep powering through and we will drop these drowning rates. We'll do it.
Yes, that's the goal. Reduce the drownings. All right. Exactly. Thank you again, Cullen.
Thanks for having me.
Sid, thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Yeah.
There you go. All my Wolfpackers.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Join us on the Swim Monkey. Swim
Monkey.
Monkey TV. On the Monkey.